Beautiful.
Okay.
Good to go.
This is a first for us.
All right, fantastic.
All right.
Good
Live on
start.
Facebook.
I haven't done it in a long time either, so this is good.
All right, good. Well, hopefully it's working.
Yeah,
All right, so we can go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sounds of Health, where we shine a light on the stories, people, and resources that help our listeners to improve their physical, emotional, and financial well-being. I want to thank everyone out there who's been listening and sending us feedback. All of the feedback we've been receiving has been extremely positive. And thank you also for sharing our sounds. If you're joining us for the first time today, and you might be joining us on Facebook, this is the first time we're going live, please be sure to give our previous episodes a listen. We have a lot of great guests that have been on the podcast already, and help us spread the sounds. Tell everyone you know about us. I'm your host, Dave MacNiven, and today I'm excited to welcome exercise physiologist and the owner of Joint Effort Exercise in Branford, Guilford, Old Saybrook, and Niantic, Connecticut, George Norden. George, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, David. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to have you here. So you've got a lot going on. That's a lot of locations.
Got a fair amount going on. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's good. Thank God I have an awesome team that help and run the day to day.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's been a ride.
That's great.
Yeah.
When did you start?
So started developing the concept in like 2010, I would think.
Okay.
So my grandfather's friend kind of took me under his wing. I told him I wanted to start a business, hopefully, do a gym of my own someday. And so he took me under his wing and started talking a little bit about business with me. And I had all these crazy ideas, I was all over the place, but I knew kind of the niche that I wanted to work with and the demographic I wanted to work with. But he encouraged me to write a business plan, which at that time, I didn't go to business school. I studied exercise science, which was great.
Yeah.
But I ended up, I ended up writing a business plan that was really good. So that was 2010. And then I ended up starting Joint Effort not until 2013. So I took another position to learn a little bit more about the industry and like the sales and marketing. And then Joint Effort was born in 2013.
That's amazing. Now, how quickly did you scale to all of these different locations?
It was crazy. So the first year, I literally had no money. I was like getting used equipment from Facebook Marketplace. And at that time I was using Craigslist a ton to, get used fitness equipment, free stuff, and just, getting whatever I could.
Sure.
And with that stuff, I ran into this guy that has been just a godsend for me. His name is Jerry. He owned a gym in Hamden for a long time, and he had some equipment that was for sale. I just went into, his gym that he had shut down, and I was like, oh my God, I wish I could do this, but I didn't have enough money to be doing that. He's like, you know what? This is just sitting here. Why don't you just take it?
That's amazing.
Just take it. And then whenever you have whenever you get, you start scaling up, just you can pay me whenever you have the money. So I got super lucky in so many ways.
Yeah.
But in terms of scale, I went from so we did the first location in October of 2013. Okay. And then in June of 2015, we did our second location. So we doubled in size in terms of the actual physical location of the space by June of 2014, and then we did a second location in June of 2015.
That's amazing. So less than 2 years, you're already in two locations. Where was the first location?
First was in Guilford, and then the second one was again in 2015, like a year and a half later. That was in Old Saybrook, and then a year after that, we did our Branford location. So it just
incredible.
Nobody does what we do, so it was really a unique business concept that is truly filling a big gap in the industry, and people love it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's been great.
I definitely want to learn way more about all of that and the services that you offer. I think just like any success story in business, it's a mixture of talent and hard work and luck.
Yeah.
I feel like anybody you talk to who's had success, luck is always a factor.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So that's really incredible.
It's funny. Thomas Jefferson, I believe it was the one that said, it seems like the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
So just keep grinding, and eventually you're going to step in it as
Sure.
when it comes, but you
Yeah.
have to be there to to get to have that chance, and,
Right,
and
of course.
to be there to get lucky.
Be prepared when the opportunity comes your way.
Right.
Yeah.
The harder you work, the luckier you get.
I think that's been a theme on our podcast and a few other episodes.
It is what it is. There's no way around it.
So before we get into all of that, though, I'd love to just step back a little bit, because I think one of the things we like to do on the podcast too is highlight people's journeys.
Sure.
So I always find it fascinating to learn about how someone got to where they are. What were the building blocks that you had growing up, or even at school? I know you're a Southern Connecticut guy,
Yeah.
So we
All
share
three of
the
us.
same alma mater,
Absolutely.
Jason and the two of us. So that's great. We love SCSU. Go Owls.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are.
Sure. So I've always been athletic. I've always, liked exercising. Started exercising when I was, maybe 15 or 14. And I've always loved it. It made me feel good, physically, mentally, emotionally. Like the sounds of health. I love the mission of it, or mission statement.
Thanks,
It sounds
I appreciate
it's
that.
very similar to ours, so it's great.
Yeah.
So I've always been athletic. I've always liked to exercise, and I went to school originally to be I went to WestCon to be in education. I want to be a high school education or history teacher, I should say.
Yeah.
But then, I started doing some observation time. I was like, maybe this isn't the route that I want to go. So I took some time off from school, and then I was like, what do I like to do? I love to exercise. Let's see. So Southern had a great program. I met with Dr. Axtell, who was fantastic. Still talk to him probably monthly. I got into that program, I absolutely loved it, went through, graduated with the exercise science degree, but I knew I didn't want to go into like athletics. So I didn't want to work with athletes. I didn't want to, do that route, really do, like personal training stuff. I wanted to go more clinical, like the more clinical side.
Yeah.
So I did my internship in cardiac and pulmonary rehab at the hospital, St. Raphael. Absolutely loved it. Did really well with it, and they ended up hiring me after that. So I graduated, and then they were just looking for somebody per diem at the time. So I took that position as I was doing another job as a medical fitness trainer in a small exercise facility in Branford. Fantastic. It was just such a great experience, but there were two flaws, and that was number one, in the cardiac and pulmonary rehab, we didn't really have anywhere to send our clients afterwards. Or our patients, I should say. So they went through this 9-week program that was phenomenal. Taught them what they needed to do to exercise safely and effectively for their goals and what they were going through at that time. So whether it was a surgery or some kind of an event or a diagnosis, we really built up them again physically, mentally.
Sure.
Built their confidence, and they did so great. But after the 9 weeks, they weren't the people that you're going to see in, Planet Fitness or these other big facilities. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but those facilities, but it's just not comfortable. Like that's mostly for, I would say younger, fit people or people that know what they're doing when it comes to exercise.
So they're not quite ready to go to a facility like that.
Exactly. Right. So there's no supervision. So they were used to us being always like next to them and making sure that they were okay. They just kind of that sense of, that sense of safety, if you will. And so that was an issue there that I saw. I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? And then the other place that I worked at, which again was great, it's called Physical Fitness. It's in Branford. They do mostly one-on-one personal training, and we were great. We great what we do. They still are. But the problem was a lot of people can't afford one-on-one personal training all the time.
Right.
So at, $45 to $85 per session, this was between a $400 and $1,000 a month investment
Easily.
that most people can't make. And, so I would have clients that would be, George, I feel great, but, my granddaughter's getting married. I want to start helping my daughter or my son kind of pay for that, or they're going to college, or, frankly, I just can't swing this anymore. So they would stop as a result of the financial component, and that, it killed me, obviously. Building great relationships with these people, over the past 3 months or whatever they were working with me, or 6 months or a year. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they had to stop for a financial piece. So I was like, there's a problem here that I have to solve. So,
that's so interesting. I think that comes into play a lot for people, is obviously the financial aspect of it. If something's working for them and they're investing in it, and then other aspect of their life is now taking priority. It can be a child, it can be, whatever it is, taking away now from something that's working and now they can no longer afford it. That's definitely a problem.
Yeah. So it was heartbreaking for me on both sides. So I would see the people leave the cardiac and pulmonary rehab and know that they were going to go back to the sedentary lifestyle that may have gotten them to the position where we met them into this program. And the other side was, the same. They would stop doing this training, the one-on-one training, and the same thing. They weren't going to go to these big box gyms with mirrors everywhere, loud music. Young people.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with it,
of course,
but it's just not for the people that I was working with. So that's why I decided to create something that was different, and it's working out.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I love that. I mean, you saw a challenge, you saw a problem that needed to be solved, and you came up with a solution.
Right.
So that's really what joint effort's all about then.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So we're bridging the gap between one-on-one personal training and your typical box gym so the one-on-one personal training, most people don't need it, especially the people that I was working with, because a lot of times they're using machines, they're doing, movements that are relatively simple. They don't necessarily need, and I'm not saying that no one needs it. Most people don't need it.
Sure.
I was finding myself next to somebody that's using a machine and I'm counting to 10 for them. I'm like, I think you could probably handle this, Mrs. Jones.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily need that, but you also need a little bit more supervision than you get in, these big box gyms, which is nothing, or which again, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't know what you're doing, or you don't feel comfortable in that setting, you're not going to go.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. And that's why we have so many issues with chronic illness, chronic pain in this country, because people don't move.
Right.
And, especially when we get, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, start to really slow down in terms of activity.
Absolutely.
And it causes all kinds of issues that could be prevented with more physical activity. So that's what we're trying to solve.
Gotcha. Okay. So you guys are really coaching them as well to develop healthy habits.
Right.
So outside of the gym.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
So nutrition, we talk a little bit about nutrition, nothing like really specific. We don't give like your, like a registered dietitian type of plan, but, just talk about the importance of protein and complex carbohydrates and, getting enough sleep and hydration and, things along those lines, and just really have it in front of them often, so it stays front of mind, and they're making these these lifestyle changes that will benefit them. Like you said, outside of the gym, but also obviously we're helping them in there.
Gotcha.
So the concept is we design each person's program specific to them. It's not like going into a class where everybody does the same thing. The vast majority of our clients have, some type of ache or pain, whether it's arthritis, they've had, joint replacements, some type of chronic illness, whether they went through chemo, they've had falls, fractures. So everybody has something that they come in with, 95% of people. So we don't necessarily want them to all do the same thing, because they may have different goals too. Yeah. So everybody gets an evaluation to determine, where they're at from a functional perspective initially. We design a program for them based on that. And then we teach them how to do it. So that it's one-on-one for a very short period of time. So they're like 2 or 4 sessions. Mm-hmm. So it gives us the opportunity to teach them how to do everything properly. But after that, they go into what we call our guided exercise program. So that's similar to like the cardiac rehab setting and pulmonary rehab setting, where, they're exercising pretty independently, but we're always there. And the spaces are super small. I say they're like the size of a Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
So we keep them that size because our trainers, who all have the same degree as myself, or even more, some have master's degrees in exercise physiology.
Yeah.
They're always there to make sure that you're doing everything correctly, there to answer questions if need be, and change the workouts for the clients periodically, so they continue to improve and don't just, plateau.
So how many people are there at a time actually working out?
So there could be, it really depends. So sometimes there could be 4 people, and then other times there could be 12. I think the maximum group is 12. So it's like a 6-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
So client to trainer.
Yeah.
So that's how we're able to do it at such a a lower investment than one-on-one training
Right.
because it all goes into, the pot. I'll just say that.
That makes sense.
Simple terms.
Are these timed workouts? Are they specific to the person?
Yeah, so they're specific to the person in every way. So,
Okay.
if somebody's a little bit busy, they may come in for 30 minutes. Somebody's,
Okay.
has a little bit more time, which 98% of our clients are retired. So they do have, time. So most come in for an hour or 50 minutes to an hour, which is cardio. They do low impact cardio, then do a strength and functional strength training component, and then stretching.
Okay.
So it's really comprehensive. It covers all of the aspects of physical fitness that we promote.
Gotcha. But it's a person coming in and doing an individual exercise regimen as opposed to being a part of a class.
Nope. Yeah, it's not a class, but everything's by appointment, which is kind of unique as
That's
well.
interesting. Yeah.
I tried to pull as much as I possibly could out of that was positive out of the personal training world.
Yeah.
And my clients would get great results. Yes, because I was a good trainer, but also because they would show up. And consistency is 3/4 of the battle. Just get in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just get in there. And so they were paying all kinds of money, to come and work with me.
Yeah.
So they were showing up, and they always set an appointment, and that was really beneficial and impactful. So I said, why do we have to, why does that have to stay in that world? Why can't it be in a group setting as well? Everybody has appointments that they set up, and they're flexible. It's not like, a doctor's appointment where if you miss it, you're not going to get another one.
Sure.
They're flexible, and it's just so we can, number one, control how many people are in the center at one time. We don't want 30 people in the gym at once because we won't be able to provide the service that we that we promise and that we know is most effective. But then also it provides that little bit of accountability to actually get in and do it. And it's been an absolute game changer. That's, one of the things that I hear most from clients is, George, I've been trying to exercise for 30 years and I've never been as consistent and I think it's because of the darn appointments.
Yeah.
Like, I have it on my schedule, and I now that I'm doing so well, I schedule my life around my joint effort sessions.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like with anything else. If you put it on your calendar, then you're not going to miss it.
It's a priority, and it has to be. And I just pump it into that. Hey, this is a priority for you. If you want to continue to do the things that you enjoy and need to do and remain independent for as long as possible,
right?
You have to be here. Like, there's no other way. There's no pill, potion, powder that is going to help you to maintain or regain your strength.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Your balance, your agility, your reaction time, all of these things that decline as you age.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's going to help you with that other than practicing and doing this. And that's what we try to make their programs as lifelike as possible.
Now, are your clients connected to a specific trainer, or do they see someone new each time they come in?
So there's only either 2 or 3 trainers at each location. So that's what helps with it helps with the supervision component. So it's not just one person.
Mm-hmm.
So they see pretty much the same person that when they come in each time, but they work with other trainers just because it's nice sometimes. The trainers communicate about the specific clients, and if one trainer did their evaluation and their what we call our program design sessions in the beginning, another trainer might do what we call their revision session, which is when we change their workout every 90 days. So they'll have a conversation about how the evaluation went and how the program design sessions went, what their goals are, limitations, things along those lines.
Yeah.
And then they collaborate on a new program, which also is based on the results of a reevaluation session, which we do. I'm throwing so much information.
You've got a lot going on.
Yeah. But it's a really comprehensive program. It's so effective. So they do a reevaluation session every 90 days to determine what their progress has been.
Right.
So we share what their progress has been every 3 months. And then we make a new program for them based on those results, as well as whatever their goals are at that point.
That makes sense. I mean, you don't want the workout to go stale, right? Because then people really lose interest and they stop doing it.
Exactly.
So you're constantly reevaluating and growing with them.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So showing them that it's working.
Yeah.
We normally see a 30% increase in strength and muscular endurance in the first 3 months and about a 20% improvement in balance. So that's encouraging.
Yeah.
So when they see those numbers, like, okay, this is definitely worth my time investment. Yeah. It's absolutely worth my financial investment. I'm not getting these kind of results anywhere.
Right.
So seeing that is what really keeps people consistent. If they just kept coming, like, I guess I feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
They might not feel that much better in the first 90 days, but seeing those results, on a sheet of paper, those numbers it's very clear. There's no, it's black and white. So these are the results the first 90 days.
Right. That's great.
So that's what keeps people, as consistent as they are.
That makes sense. I mean, seeing progress is an important part of any goal setting.
Right.
You want to make sure that you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's motivating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have a certain ideal client, or are you only working with certain age groups, or who are you looking to bring into the gym?
Yeah. So we call it guided exercise after 50.
Okay.
So it's anybody that's over the age of 50. I would say our average age is about 70. So 68 to 70, I would say. I would say probably 80% of our clients are female, which I'm trying to get these guys in here to realize.
Well, they're smarter than the men.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
Makes sense.
I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
And that's at every age.
Yeah. Of course.
But so we're trying to get more males on board. Once they start and they start feeling their strength come back, they don't stop. They do not,
well, that makes sense.
Right. And our attrition rate is about like a little over 1%. It's amazing. And I think the national average is around 7 or 8 for fitness facilities, but ours is extremely, extremely low because they start to feel, it's one thing losing a couple pounds, okay, I've got a little bit bigger biceps, or I'm starting to see my abs. That's nice for our people our age.
Sure.
But being able to go upstairs easier, being able to get on and out of a chair easier, being able to get on and off the floor easier, play with grandchildren, things along those lines, that's life changing. Yeah. For these guys to regain.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So it's so powerful for them to see it. So that's, and then again, showing them that, that data is just a game changer. So that just hooks them in.
Now, you started with that one location in Guilford. I can only imagine that there were some challenges in getting started. What were the biggest challenges that you faced?
Not knowing what the heck I was doing in any stretch.
Like any new business owner?
Right. And I think that's a real, struggle for a lot of people. And what keeps them from doing it is, and that was my thing, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't really know what I'm doing.
Right.
But my wife literally just said, what do you have to lose at this point?
Yeah.
Like, we're still young. We don't have kids. Just try it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, I already had my prerequisites in school, to apply to PA school.
Yep.
And that was going to be my, my plan to go and do that. And she's like, you already have the business plan written. We have some equipment already. You've already wasted our money. So why don't you just give it a shot and see what happens?
Yeah.
So I did have some sales and marketing. I did do a lot up until then, but in terms of like running a business, I did not know. So
sure. Yeah.
So I got lucky again in a lot of ways. In terms of struggles, just the whole process of getting it going, like all the things with the state, getting a tax ID.
Not easy.
There was a lot of things that were just not in any book. So going through that. And the space in general, like, just figuring out how people move, and which might sound silly, but like figuring out ways where you're not going to have hangups, because we got very busy. In 6 months, we had 90 clients in an 1,100 square foot space.
In your first 6 months?
First 6 months.
That's amazing.
And it was because of, so it was the best problem I could imagine.
Yeah.
But in terms of scheduling people, and they want to use this specific machine, they want to come at this time. So that was a challenge. It was a very good problem.
Was it just you when you started, or did you have other trainers?
So it was myself and my good buddy Chris, which we worked at a place called Health Tracks, actually here in North Haven.
Yeah, sure.
So we worked there. I did sales and marketing for about 2 years with them, because I wanted to learn how to so I could train.
Smart.
I could train.
Yeah.
But then I didn't know how to sell memberships. I didn't know how to, how to market. So I took that position, and they didn't call me back because I didn't have any sales or marketing experience, and to get that position.
Yeah.
So I applied like 4 or 5 times, no call. So I just put a suit on and I went and I literally sat in the lobby, and I said, I'm looking to talk to Fred Lukens. He was the manager at the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, he's in a meeting. I was like, all right, I'll wait. And I waited in the lobby for 2 hours
what
until
persistence.
because I knew if I didn't get that job, there's no way I was going to do it. I wanted to learn with hands-on experience rather than try to learn from books or whatever. So it really helped me. I sucked in the beginning, obviously, but I just studied nonstop, how to do it. So I was learning from my superiors there, as well as, reading and listening to books and doing as much as I could to get better. And I did get really good. And then when I felt that I was ready, to fly, I left there and I started Joint Effort.
That's amazing. Now, how did you come up with the name Joint Effort?
So that same guy that, my grandfather's friend, he challenged me I was like, how am I going to find out a name for this? I had some really like weird names like Relief and all this other weird stuff. And I was like, I don't know about those. He was really kind about it. But he said, why don't you take the alphabet and write a word for each letter?
Yeah.
So A, whatever, activity, B, I don't know, building. So whatever, you see what I'm saying?
Something that applies to what you're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we kind of looked through it together, and J was joint and E was effort. And he was like, okay, how about this?
That's great. I love that.
So it worked out.
What a great idea.
Yeah, it was good. And it means so many things. So it's not just, it means our connection, obviously, with our clients, but it's also our, the team collaboration. So trainer to trainer, but also trainer to other healthcare providers. So we get a lot of referrals from physical therapists, physicians. There's a lot of ways that we get, that we get members. Yeah. So if somebody's coming out of, say, physical therapy, with the patient's consent, we have conversations with their physical therapist to say, okay, Mrs. Jones is here. She just had a knee replacement 6 months ago. She's doing great. She's 12 weeks out. So she's going to, or whatever the timing is. She's been doing X, Y, Z. We need her to do, ABC, to go. So it's a collaboration and joint effort between us and them as well to just make sure that these people transition as smoothly as possible into our program.
Gotcha.
And then, it just benefits everyone. They want to see their patient that they just worked with for X amount of weeks do well and, get good results. So having us to give these people to is relief to them as well.
Sure.
That they're in good hands and they're going to keep, stay active.
Yeah.
And then the other side is if somebody walks into our gym and we don't feel like, it's outside of our scope of practice, somebody has significant pain or there's something that we just don't feel comfortable with. We say, hey, why don't you just go and work with our friends over at rehab concepts or physical therapy specialists or wherever it is that's close to our Amity Physical Therapy in Branford. Why don't you go to them, work with them for a few weeks, see what they think, and then come back. We don't like to pretend like we're physical therapists or physicians in any way, and it ends up working out great. So it's awesome. Truly a joint effort with everybody, and everyone wins, including the client. So it's really
the most important.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's how your business grows. Clients are happy.
That's right. That's right.
Gotcha. Now, how many people do you have working for you now?
I believe 16.
Oh, wow. 16. Okay.
Yeah. So, so I started with just my buddy Chris, which I went off on a tangent earlier about the thing. But so Chris started with me. I worked with him at Health Tracks. And then Dave Penna, who's another phenomenal exercise physiologist, he came in. He was still in school, and he just wanted to volunteer. He volunteered for a summer, with me. He was another Southern guy, another
nice. That's great.
Great owl.
Yeah.
So it just kind of built up from there, but I have about 16 at this point.
And are you hiring? Are you always looking for new people?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So we're looking for new people because we're going to be franchising. I know I said that earlier.
That's
so
awesome.
We just finished our
Congratulations.
FDD and our franchise agreements and all that paperwork.
Yeah.
So very, very exciting time for us. Yeah, so we're always looking for good people that,
That's
that are
great.
passionate about this, and especially passionate about working with, aging adults.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people go into this field to work with athletes, as I mentioned earlier. That just wasn't me.
Yep.
But I've been super, super lucky over the past decade, in finding good people that were passionate and worked hard and
That's
and
really
just overall
amazing.
Good humans. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can only assume too, like working with this age group, it's the age group that I work with the most, being an expert in Medicare and helping people with health insurance.
Yep.
But it's rewarding.
Oh
right?
my gosh.
I mean, like you were saying earlier, you help someone to get stronger, especially later in their life.
Yeah.
It's life changing.
Oh yeah.
They're able to be more active. They're able to be more present for their family and to accomplish more in their later years, which is important.
Right.
I mean, life begins at 65 these days. We're getting younger as we get older.
That's right.
So it's important to stay healthy and be able to do all of those things that we want to do.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It's absolutely critical. And like you said, it's just so much more rewarding. Again, yeah. Getting somebody bigger biceps and a six pack, that's, yes, I guess it's rewarding.
That's great too. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, changing these people's, and also I like working with this, this demographic too. And a lot of my my team says the same thing. Yeah. They help us as much as we help them.
I'm sure.
With their life experiences, with, stories, they give advice. They're, it's a joint effort there too. Like I can't tell you how many clients that I've had over the years, Steve Horner in Guilford, Jerry Burke in Guilford, so many very successful people, and Ken Everts, so many very successful business people have said, hey, if you ever want to sit down and talk, just use me as a sounding board essentially. Or I was an accountant for, I was a CPA for 30 years, I'd be happy to help you with this. Or I was a marketing executive, they're so, as long as we're, or Mike McGuire, he actually, very early on, we did a podcast similar to this when I was first getting started. He's like, this is such a great concept. So, my point is it's just so, I think it's rewarding for everybody.
Yeah.
They're
absolutely.
so happy to help, and we're so happy to help them. And it's just been, it's amazing. I love it.
That's fantastic. Now, how do people usually come to you? Like, how are people finding you?
Honestly, it's a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah. Okay.
And a lot of word of mouth and referrals. That's really it. We do some, we used to do a lot of like wellness fairs. So that's, that's a part of the franchise package of how to do those effectively. And,
so you're training, you're planning to train the franchisees on how to actually grow the business.
Oh yeah.
And maintain the culture of what you've developed.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I did it with almost no money. So I have all of these things
great.
that I needed to figure out how to do this with a very, shoestring budget. So I have all of those systems in place to, to help them to be successful, because at the end of the day, it's our, we want to make an impact on this population. So I want them to be successful for themselves, but also for our clients. And then obviously it's fantastic and wonderful for me, to see something that I created make kind of an impact that I'm dreaming that it will.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's mostly word of mouth from people, and also referrals. So we get a lot of referrals from, again, the physical therapists that we work hand in hand with, physicians, and that's pretty much it. I've been
great.
very, very lucky. Like those 90 people that in the first 6 months, I would say 50 of them were referrals, if not more than that, from clients.
That's amazing.
Yeah. They were like, well, you've got to try this. You've got to try this. You've got to try this. It's,
it says a lot about what you're providing.
Yeah. And there's a social component too. So like their friend is coming. Okay, hey, we don't see each other all that often anymore. Why don't we go to the gym together? Great.
Yeah, no, that's what I like to do at the gym. I like to talk to people.
Yeah. And we actually, it's funny. I studied pretty much every exercise center concept that's been successful over the past 30, 40 years. And so I took a lot out of the Curves book and what they did, which was they had all the machines in a circle.
Right.
It was a great social environment. People are chatting, having a good time. And so I have a lot of my machines, like all my cardio machines are in a circle so they can have conversation. It's not like they're facing like we are right now. Like it's not like awkward. So I have them all positioned in a way that if you want to talk, you can. If you don't, you don't feel uncomfortable. Yeah. But that's, it's so lively. It's so fun. It's such a positive environment.
Yeah.
So ours is, we want to benefit the lives of our clients physically, mentally, socially, and emotionally.
That's amazing.
And that's what we're doing.
What are the biggest challenges that you're facing?
facing. With our current business, or because the franchise business is going to be a big challenge. So current challenges, space in our Guilford location and Old Saybrook location, and actually pretty close in Branford to, we just can't find bigger space. So we have a waiting list for our Guilford location, and probably pretty soon our Old Saybrook and Branford locations, which is very frustrating to me because we have people that want to come in. They have friends that are coming. They have, family members that are coming, and we don't want to sacrifice quality for quantity.
Right. Gotcha.
So we are just waiting, and we have a lot of people that are coming back from Florida and Arizona and Texas, places that they go for the summer month, or for the winter months, excuse me. So that's definitely my biggest challenge. So trying to figure out whether it's different So we've been able to do it with changing processes and timing and scheduling and things like that without sacrificing service over the past 7 years since it's been an issue. But that's definitely my biggest challenge, because we need a pretty much open space, about 3,000 square feet, but easy parking.
Okay.
So parking that's close. We don't want it to be like in a big Y parking lot where the parking's a nightmare.
Right.
So that's my biggest challenge, I would say. And then also we're doing a lot right now. We're developing an app, the franchise system, we just changed over our software, which I will never do again. It was our third time, and I don't know why.
That's always a challenge, no matter what industry you're in.
So yeah, that's been a challenge, but it's, it's fun. At the end of the day, there's a really good book. It's called Start With Why. I don't know if you have read that.
Yeah. I haven't read it, but I know of it.
Yeah. So it's something I revisit every year because it will, it just remembers why you're doing all this. And yes, it's frustrating and challenging and exhausting, but just remembering why you're doing it and what the result is of this work is what kind of drives me. It really, that's it.
Yeah.
It's what it just keeps me going.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I was recently listening to a podcast, and it was all about how to achieve certain goals. And it was starting with what the why is.
Right.
They said, what's the purpose?
Right.
So if you focus on really defining what the purpose is, then you're going to be motivated by whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
And then it's the energy, having the energy to actually get out there and to achieve those things is really important. I think that's where something like what you guys provide comes into play, because as you get healthier, you have more energy. Right. Right. And then also just breaking things up into small, simple steps.
Yeah.
Making sure that you're not overwhelmed by the large goal you have set, because you want to, reach for the stars, you want to think big, but you also need to break those up into manageable and trackable goals that you can meet along the way, again, to keep yourself motivated, similar to what you're saying you guys do in the training process.
Right. Yeah. So every day I write down where I want to be in 5 years, like I'm there.
Okay.
And I say
that's
that to
interesting.
clients. So like I'm there, like I'm whatever my goals are, I'm just walking outside. I'm walking outside at our beach house in, South Carolina. It's beautiful. The sun's coming up. I'm going to take a little run along the, the water. So that's my goal for the next 5 years, is to do that and kind of, what's the word? Manifesting it like
Sure.
I'm already there. Like I'm already there, and thinking about it like I'm already there.
Yeah.
Is very powerful. And like family's good, business is good, things along those lines. I go into this whole thing, but we do this. I do the same thing for clients. I write these weekly emails, trying to get them fired up for the week. I do it every Monday, and that's a big one. That's something I say probably once a month. Like everybody, you have to remember what your why is. Right. And it's not I want to get stronger. It's not I want to lose weight. It's not because I want to improve my balance. It's because I want to go play with my grandchild on the beach in June. Yeah. I want to be able to walk confidently on those cobblestone, streets in England during my vacation in July. So it can't be the strength, the balance, the weight loss. Yeah. It has to be what the result of those goals.
That's a great point. Yeah.
So rather, again, it's just so much more powerful, because you can say, I want to lose weight. Yeah. Okay. That's great. But why?
Right. Exactly. And mindset matters. Right. I mean, I think that's something that we all overlook is we set these goals. We try to get to where we want to go, but we're not thinking about it in a positive way sometimes.
Right.
What is that quote? It's something like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's true. If you're not going to tell yourself that, I can do this, this is possible, then you're already setting yourself back.
Yeah.
It's going to be even harder for you to get to where you want to go unless you believe it can happen.
Yeah. I think it was Henry Ford.
Was it Henry Ford? Okay. Yeah.
Very good.
Awesome.
Whether you think you can or can't, you're right.
Yeah. So mindset is crucial in any endeavor.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's great. It sounds like you are holistically approaching how to help your clients in order to live healthier in so many different ways. That's excellent.
Yep. Yeah, we're trying to get some like walking groups and things like that for weekends. Like we did a bocce thing. I think 2 or 3 years ago. That went great. 6:00 on Tuesdays. One of our teammates that she started volunteering years ago, and she was like, "Hey, why don't we do a bocce thing on Tuesday nights? There's nothing going on Tuesday nights in the summer."
Sure.
So they would have like 30 or 40 members there on Tuesday nights. So just creating that social piece is just as important as anything else.
That's great. Now, do you host other events like that? Do you have anything coming up?
Not right now. We don't have anything coming up. We're considering doing a walk challenge, a step challenge for April. Mm-hmm. But we do a lot of get-togethers. We do like a spring party that we go down to Jacobs Beach. I rent both the pavilions and just do like a cookout type of thing. And
that's great.
Last year we had like 120 members there. It was phenomenal. Then we always do a holiday party. So kind of same thing. Awesome. So we do it a couple times a year, get everybody together outside of the, there's the gym environment, which is so much fun because, they'll see people, oh my God, I know you come here. I go at 8:00. Oh, well, I go at 4:00. So it's, it's really, it's really cool to see everybody, the relationships built. And a lot of people that, would never meet any other place in life.
Yeah.
Which is really fun for me to see too.
I bet that's amazing.
Yeah. High level physicians, that live on, the water in Madison, like these, and then people that are, just regular blue collar people and now best friends,
right? As
a result of, because they're in this environment, they have so much in common, but they would probably never cross paths anywhere else. It's just really, really a neat place.
That's awesome. It sounds very unique, and I think you're doing some really great work. It's really great to learn more about it.
Yeah.
Now, as you're going into the franchise space, what are your goals there? Like, what are you really hoping to accomplish?
So I want to sell at least 10 by the end of this year.
Okay.
That's the goal. I think I have like 3 sold now to
that's
friends
amazing.
and an employee actually who's just so, she's wonderful. She's just so on board with this whole mission. So she's super excited about it. So we're trying to figure out a way to do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to start on the East Coast. So I'm pretty much, a lot of the books that I've read over the past couple of years as I've been developing this thing have said, just try to stay within like a 2 hour radius, 2 to 3 hour radius for the first couple. So you can, really keep your finger on the pulse. And then, eventually you'll be able to build up a team in other areas, but so probably down. So I wanted to do. So we're from Rhode Island right now to South Carolina, but also Florida's a pretty easy one. I think that'll be a good market for us.
Absolutely.
So just trying to stay in Connecticut and maybe Rhode Island, like Westerly area. For this year, and then really step on the gas.
Do you think there's room for more of the locations in Connecticut?
Oh yeah. So territory size is probably going to be like 7 miles. That's about how far that. Yeah, okay. Because we don't need a lot of members. That's that's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. Our Guilford location probably has the highest number of members. We're around 200 there, but the other locations staying around 130 to 150. It's good. So it's not like one of these big gyms that they need thousands of clients to even break even.
Right.
We don't need that much because of our small footprint and the expenses aren't big as a result of that. Equipment, utilities, things along those lines.
Yeah.
Our biggest expense is people, and that's the most important investment.
Of course.
Make sure that they're compensated well, their benefits they're taken care of.
Right.
And then give them a good work environment, a good culture, and they stay. And that's the consistency of the trainers is the most important piece of the whole model.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have fun. We we do things together and joke around and have a good time and and it really helps. And obviously, I work for them. That's how I
like any good boss. You work for the people that you employ.
Whatever I can do for them, and that's the main thing. Is they're making it happen. I'm coming up with the ideas now, but they're making it happen. So I want to make sure that they're happy and taken care of.
Excellent. Now, how about on your own personal journey of health? Are there things, challenges that you faced and overcome, or things that you practice now to make sure that you continue to stay healthy?
Yeah. It's actually funny. So it's not funny. It wasn't funny at the time. So when I was in my mid-20s, I went through a period of pretty kind of dark depression, kind of times.
Yeah.
Nervous about this. Didn't know if I wanted to definitely go to school. There was just so much uncertainty with life. And I feel like a lot of people go through that. And I was in a real bad spot for a period of time, and didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to, do anything, didn't want to work out, didn't want to literally do anything.
Yeah.
And I just, one day I was like, I'm just going to go for a walk. Went out for an hour. Okay. That was all right. Get back home, eat, make myself a decent meal. And it slowly got better, which was amazing. So started running again. Yeah. Then, okay, I'm going to go to the gym a couple times this week. I'm going to sit just 2 30-minute sessions. That's all I'm going to do. And so I've continued that all the way through. That's one thing I will not sacrifice. That's a non-negotiable for me is to stay active, because I know the power of it from my own confidence and the way that I feel.
Sure.
But I know what it did for me at that point. I know there's a lot of people at any age that still feel the way that I did, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So it got me out of that. So that drives me again. That's another driver, because I know that, a lot of people in this stage of life, they might be going through a similar thing. It's obviously not the same for the same reasons, but losing a loved one, being lonely a lot of times, not being able to do the things that you want to do, or you did, not having the confidence, that you did years ago, not looking the way that you did, that you like to. So I think there's a lot that goes into, into you guys psychologically as well. Mm-hmm. And I know what exercise does, to help that. So that's one reason why.
Yeah.
There was a woman I sat down with years ago, and I could tell that she was, she was I could tell she was going through, a lot.
Yeah.
So we were going through the sales process, and we're talking, and she's like, well, I'm going to think about it. I'm like, you're not thinking about anything. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, there's nothing to think about. You told me all of these things that are going on with you, and not, and that you're not, not feeling as good as you'd like to. This has happened. That has happened. There's nothing for you to think about at this point. You have to do this. And it wasn't even like a sales, tactic, I would say. I was just speaking from my heart, and she's still a member now. And she's like, do you remember when you told me
That's
I couldn't
amazing.
Not join? And I was like, I certainly do. And are you happy? Was I right? She's like, yeah, of course you were right.
Right.
It's 7 years later, 8 years later. But yeah, I just get it. So I run, at least 3, if not 5 times a week.
That's great.
I usually try to lift 4 or 5 times a week. And again, it's a non-negotiable for me. I know what it does for me physically, mentally, and emotionally. So if I want to keep having the impact that I am, be a good dad and husband, number one, be a good, a good teammate for my, for my team. Yeah. And, be healthy enough to, to have the energy to do this. That's my number one priority. That's
amazing. I think that's really important, because exercise is such an important part of emotional and mental health as much as it is physical health.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I always, I use the analogy too, like you're on a plane, right? And the stewardess, or whatever they call them, flight attendant these days, they say, in the case of an emergency, the mask comes down, put your mask on you first, and then help somebody else. Right. So that's, that you have to take care of you first. Yeah. And then, then you're able to better take care of others. And, do the things that you want to do.
Definitely. I think in my own experience, when I've started to set goals for myself or gotten back into running, I'm working toward a quarter marathon right now.
Nice.
Which I ran last year, had a lot of fun with, and then didn't run as much throughout the year. Consistency's always been tough for me. But the way that I motivate myself is thinking about my kids and the future, wanting to be around for my grandkids, wanting to make sure that I am not an old man anytime soon.
Right.
That's what motivates me.
Yeah. And you see so many people that are, in their, mid 40s, early 50s, and they're already slowing down.
Yeah, of course.
There's muscle starts to break down, health starts to deteriorate, after 25, if you don't stay active.
Yeah.
So it's really important to stay on it if you want to, because you can prevent a lot of things that people are dealing with that are very preventable, but you just have to consistently move your body.
So the best thing is to stay in shape, make sure you have some consistency in what you're doing. But as you're seeing people when they're turning 50 and getting older, you said many of your clients are in their 70s, right?
Yeah. Most.
You do see that they can improve, right? So they can come to you with something that's wrong, and it's not too late.
No, never too late.
Okay.
We just, in our Niantic location, we just signed up a 96-year-old woman.
Wow. That's great.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's awesome. So she signed up and she's doing really, really well, getting stronger. She's standing up a little bit straighter. She's doing like really, really great. Her daughter ended up joining. So now they come together. So that's a really cool thing. And then her son-in-law joined as well. And they're like obsessed with it. They're such great people. And they make it like because they work out on their own. They have their own programs. Yeah. And then the mom is working a little bit more closely with, one of our trainers.
Sure.
But it's just such a great thing for them. They absolutely love it. They've met new people. She's met new people at 96. How many new people do you meet?
Absolutely.
So, she's on her machine using our recumbent elliptical machine. And she's chatting it up with, somebody next to her that's maybe in her 60s. Such an inspiration.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're complaining they're 67 years old or, 70 years old. This woman's 30 years older than them. They're like, I have got nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
Right? So you're trying as hard as you can. I don't have it. So that's another piece too. And, we see people that come in that, aren't functional, aren't where they want to be or should be functionally.
Yeah.
They see another member that looks like them, like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. And then that member I'll walk over and say, hey, Pat, she just said, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
So then she'll go over and say, I couldn't do this 2 years ago.
I've
been a member for 2 years. So you're where I was at 2 years ago. I couldn't do it. So it's just consistency. We've said that word so many times.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing.
And then again, those, changing the workouts every few months, because if you just do the same thing over and over and again, you're never going, you're going to be better without doing anything.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get to your potential.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Or you'll get bored and you'll just lose interest in doing it.
Right. So we say, so at that 3 month mark, a lot of the clients will say, oh my God, I was just getting used to this program. Now you're going to change it. I was like, exactly.
Yeah.
Because if your mind is getting used to it, your body's likely getting, and we do change the resistance, we change the volume. There's a lot of things that we do modify during those, during that 3 month period of time. But as soon as they start to memorize things, that's when we change everything, which is like, especially nobody likes change, right? So once you start to perfect things, I
like change.
Yeah, so do I.
I'm in the minority.
Me too. Yeah. But most people in those age brackets, they don't necessarily like it, but now they understand the importance of it. Yeah. In terms of this, maybe I'm not going to move a machine over because that's the end of the world, but but changing their workout is a critical piece. And after a few months, they understand why we do it, because they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this now. I saw somebody doing it 2 years ago. I never thought I would be here.
Right.
So it's really cool.
Now, how do you find balance in your life? You mentioned that you have a family, you have kids, right?
Yes.
So I have 2 kids myself and now 2 dogs. It's not easy always getting everything done and being there and present for them.
Right.
How do you take that on?
So I wake up at 4.
Wow.
And so I go through like my morning routine. We talked about the goals. I do my goals. Like I'm there, as I mentioned earlier. I do a little gratitude. I write for like 3 minutes just to do a little gratitude journaling, which is really,
I love that.
Really
That's great. Yeah.
And then I usually work. I stretch, and then I work from usually like 4:30 to like 6. Then my kids wake up. I, kind of get them ready. My wife and I get them ready. She's a teacher, so she's getting ready in the morning, and she has to do her hair. I don't have to do that.
You and me both.
Exactly. It's nice. It's nice, easy. So I kind of do breakfast with them. Yeah. I get their lunches ready. And then, we spend a little time or, whatever we're working on at the time, we try to do some, Rosetta Stone. So I'm trying to do some Spanish with them.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's great. Just trying to get a little bit. So we do like 10 minutes of that. Mm-hmm. And then I drop them off at school. We live right across the street from the school, which is great.
That's great.
And then from like 7:30 to like 9, I'll go to the gym. I work out. And then from 9 to usually like 4-ish, the kids get off the bus at around 4.
Yeah.
I work from 9 to 4. And then that's it.
Okay. So you're up at 4 a.m., you said.
Yeah.
What time are you in bed?
It's embarrassing. So probably like 8:30.
And you can do that with kids?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I go to bed shortly after they do.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
that's going to get harder as they get older.
Yeah, I know, but they're on their own. I don't care. I'll put a camera in their room. Right. That's it. You don't freaking move.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to, we're normally probably sleeping by 9 if it is. So we try to get the bedtime routine going 7:30, 8 o'clock. And normally they're asleep by 8:30.
Yeah.
And then we're out.
That's great.
Yeah. Do a little reading.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a boring, it's repetitive. It's boring. I'm not watching TV.
Sure,
I'm not watching sports. I'm not doing all this stuff. I'm just so locked into getting this done, which I love it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't have a lot to talk about other than this. And this is, it's been my life for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And, in the kids. So it's the kids, wife, and joint effort. I've just been totally locked in. Well,
there's nothing wrong with that. I think, this topic, there's endless things that we can talk about.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing what you're doing. I think, especially coming out of school and seeing that, you weren't on that traditional trajectory of people that were going into this field and working with athletes, that you found a problem that needed some help, and that's what you're doing. So I commend you on the entire effort. I think it's really amazing what you're doing. I love being able to get the word out there. And I think there's ways that maybe you and I can kind of come up with some ideas too. Things have been kind of percolating in my head as we've talked. So that's great. And I really appreciate you spending the time with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Anything else that you wanted to share with anyone before we wrap up?
So if there's anybody that you love and care about that is, maybe declining, maybe slowing down a little bit, as you see the age, rising, just let them know the importance, whether it's with joint effort or not, just the importance of functional strength training. So not just using machines, not just being in a class, not using 2-pound dumbbells, getting to a place where, functional strength training is so important because it helps with everything from, again, strength, agility, reaction time, mobility, the flexibility. Did I say balance? I don't know if I did. Okay.
It's worth repeating.
It's worth repeating. Yeah. Exactly right. So again, not just using machines. They have to move. They have to mimic the movements of day-to-day life with resistance and do it consistently.
That's great.
Like I always use an analogy. Like, would Derek Jeter be the baseball player that he was if he just played baseball games? Probably not. Right. Definitely not. So if he didn't,
I would have preferred that you used a Baltimore Oriole in that analogy, but I understand we're in Connecticut. Nobody talks about the Orioles.
Yeah. But if he didn't do grounders for an hour, repetitively, thousands of ground balls, if he didn't hit, for thousands of times repetitively, these are the things that we need to be doing if we want to continue to live our lives the way that we want to, and do the things we need, do the things we want and need to. You have to be practicing these moves, and functional strength training will do that for these people. I see it every day. It's miraculous what happens, and it doesn't take that much. 2 to 3 days a week is all it takes. And that's really it, and find somebody that knows what they're doing. And again, of course, I'm going to enjoy, promote joint effort because I know I have control over the quality of what we do. And I know, but if there's, just find out people's qualifications. Are they working with aging adults often, or is this just something that they're doing because they need to fill an hour in their schedule?
Sure.
Because I see that a lot. Somebody work with an athlete, and then I see them working with an 80-year-old, their next client, and they just do machines the whole time.
Yeah.
Because it's just something to kind of fill time. And it breaks my heart because they need to be doing more. They shouldn't be
different
sitting
skill sets.
Different skill sets.
Yeah.
And this is all we do.
Yeah.
This is all we do and have done. And I've been obsessed over it for the past 12 years.
That's great. I mean, the passion that you have for it definitely comes through in the way that you speak. What's the best way for someone to get started with Joint Effort or to find you guys?
Yep. So they can email info@jointeffortexercise.com. I'm sorry, I pronounced those T's in the way that I do. It's kind of obnoxious, but
that's fine.
Sometimes people think there's an S in there. So, and I just want to make sure that that's not. So jointeffortexercise.com.
Okay.
info@jointeffortexercise.com.
Okay, great. And we'll put that up on all of our social media channels as well.
Cool.
So we'll make sure we get the word out about the amazing work that you guys are doing.
Okay.
So I really appreciate your time today.
And great. And how can people in my circle contact you if need be?
So for us,
say a little bit about what you do as well.
Sure, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Please.
So we are on Facebook Live, but so the podcast Sounds of Health is really looking for people like you that have either stories, resources, or businesses that help people to enhance their physical, emotional, or financial well-being. So we cast a broad net with this show because I meet so many people as I'm out there networking with amazing stories that are inspirational, or with services like what you have that people just don't know enough about.
Right.
And so I try to, in my work as an owner of a business, I try to be a connector and put people together with things that they need. In my health insurance agency, Nutmeg Insurance Advisors, my business is really built on Medicare and helping people with their Medicare choices. And we also handle employer group health plans, long-term care, and all of those things as well. So we really work hard to educate people about Medicare and what the options are out there.
Okay.
So anyone who knows someone who needs help with that, they can always reach out to us. And they'll be able to find our contact information.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
So, George, this has been great. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for challenging us to be on Facebook Live. This is totally brand new for us.
Thank you so much for anybody who's watching.
Absolutely. And just to kind of close up the podcast, Sounds of Health is brought to you by Nutmeg Insurance Advisors and recorded at the offices of Nutmeg Advisory Group in North Haven, Connecticut. The podcast is produced by Jason Carubia and Dave MacNiven with music by Rob Hames. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please like, subscribe, and leave a review. Each week, we spotlight the stories, people, and resources that inspire and motivate others to improve their health. And we're just getting started. So please help us to share these sounds and don't keep us a secret.